Ugh. People keep trying to tell you I hate plants. I don't hate plants. I hate the cold. And you know who else hates the cold? Plants. See? Me and plants, we got something in common. On with the video. And in this video, I just want to clear the air because I keep getting messages from, very nice people that imply that I have a problem with planted tanks or even dirted tanks, because that is, I've been framed in several different ways along the course of the last few months as being this or being that. And, I've heard people say that I'm trying to force everyone to do fish keeping my way, which is not at all the truth. None of it is. But the biggest one that I hear is an assumption that I'm anti-plant, and I'm not. I think plants are beautiful. I've said this many times along the way, but not everyone gets to hear it. So I just want to clear the air. I don't have a problem with planted tanks. I do have fake plants in my tanks, in this tank, and I've got some real plants in here too, sort of meshed in. I can't find many real plants that want to live in my discus temperatures of 86 to 87 degrees. That's it. That's why you don't see plants in my tank. I would, when I begin to learn more about plants, and suggestions have been made, like people have said to buy, what's the name of them? These things. I forgot the name, but that's a fake one of them. Those should run in this temperature. But the other side of the coin is I need to clean my substrate in this particular tank. And that's all there is to it because of the type of fish I run. I have no problem with planted tanks. If I had chosen to run angelfish and I was running like 79, 80 degrees, I would be full of life right now. That's not the kind of fish I'm running. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Now, substrate, I'm definitely not against substrate. I love substrate. I think it makes the tank look natural. And I believe animals deserve as close as we can get to the feel of a natural environment. I'm never going to say like simulate an actual natural environment. No, right? But, if you were put into a hotel room that with the walls were all painted black, there was absolutely nothing in there to stimulate you, like televisions, not even a bed, just a mat on the floor and some running water and a button you push on the wall that spits out food every now and then. And then you had to live your life in that room. I don't think you'd have a good time. I mean, living in a gilded cage under those circumstances would still suck. So I like to dress it up and make it visually appealing for my fish. Some people say fish don't have emotions. Some fish don't. Some fish are highly, highly instinctive animals, and they really, there's not much, you can see there's not much going on upstairs, A moose is a huge animal, but it's got a walnut for a brain. There's not much going on up there. But some fish are smart, very smart, trainable smart. And discus are one of them. Oscars are another one of them. Why I have both of those fish, I just find it fascinating to watch their little personalities. They're social, like birds would be. Birds can also be very smart, and some of them are very dumb. It's the same scenario. So it depends on the fish. If you're going to ask me if a guppy has feelings, I would say no. If you're going to ask me if a discus has feelings, I would say yes. Very emotional fish. And I know some people will think I'm crazy for saying that, but it's the same thing with many creatures. Birds, another species with a wide variety of variation. and the intelligence slash instinctive scale is just as wide amongst them all. And the same happens with fish. There are fish um, that think. Period. I've watched shows where they have tiger sharks that are friendly and trained. Uh, you know, doing tricks. There was a TV show when I was a kid where they were using tiger sharks, kind of like Flipper. And I forget. I think it was a movie. Might have been a TV show. Can't remember. But it was the same idea. It was a boy playing with a tiger shark, and clearly they had trained at least one shark. So, and it was real. So I don't know. So, yeah, there's been some chuckling in the background about whether fish have emotions. I think that might have something to do with me talking about the environmental needs of these fish. And fine, if you think it's hooey, it's hooey, but I don't. That's just my opinion. I'm entitled to that. But as for plants, I love plants. I don't have a problem with them. So people have been spreading that rumor, I guess, or trying to imply that, I'm a plant Nazi. I'm not. Substrate. I do not think anyone on this planet needs, like, to fill a third of their tank up with substrate. So I do take issue with that. I wouldn't, in the sense that I wouldn't recommend it. If you choose to do it, I don't give a rat's ass. Pardon my language, but I just don't. But what it is it's a time bomb, and you'll find that out if you do it. So that's all I gotta say about that. All I'm doing is warning people. This, with a bunch of plants that the substrate never gets cleaned, okay, is literally a time bomb, and there's nothing you can say or do that'll prove otherwise, because I'm watching it in videos time and time again. Don't forget, FishTube lives forever, and there's videos out there 8 to 10 years old. I find most of them are around 5, but and you get to watch people do these things, and then you get to watch the time bomb go off. And yeah, I'm still seeing it. There's subscribers to my channel that have recently had the time bomb go off, and then I suggested how to fix it. And guess what that fix involved? Fixing that substrate. Now his tank's fine. He's a good lad. I like him. He's willing to learn. But, he's so willing to learn, he tried the other way too, which is great. I did it as well up here in a 20-gallon tank. It was a freaking disaster. I went and I got the mud from a lake and everything, just like the videos say, right? That's another thing that I think is ridiculous. Don't take mud from a lake and put it in your tank. Certainly don't do it if you're going to have sensitive fish. Might not matter with guppies. Might not matter with goldfish. Although, from what I've been looking at goldfish lately, and they're pretty susceptible to stuff too. They're tough, but they're not, Some of them are very expensive as well. So, yeah, there's plenty of quote unquote dirted products that will feed your plants. Seachem sells a number of them. Little pellets you put under your gravel instead of like swamp slop. That will keep your tank clean and not be mud full of bacteria and quote unquote biotope crap from your lake, and who knows what else, like lead. And these lakes, the industrial age wasn't that long ago, and they threw everything into the lakes, and there's like forever chemicals and just everything under the sun in there that's bad in that mud. It's a ridiculous notion, and you should stay away from it. But that's just my opinion. Does that mean I hate dirted tanks? No. There's the right products to use and the wrong products to use, and I'm not even a dirted tank guy, so I'm not going to sit there and even pretend to know what the right ones are. But I'll tell you, sure as shit, it ain't mud from a lake. if I was going to do that, I probably would buy the Seachem substrates, because I've had a look at those and they're pretty nice. I actually have one of their plant-based intended for plant substrates downstairs. You'll notice one of my tanks has the red Seachem matrix, or what, I forget what they called that stuff, but it's expensive and it's for plants. And it looks like gravel, but it acts like soil, which means it can be cleaned. I can disturb it without like making a mud cloud. And that's what you need. That's really, like, that's fish keeping right there. Like, you can still have the best of both worlds and clean it at the same time, and your plants won't care. The only problem with this setup and rooted plants is it gets, you're going to not want to disturb your roots, right? And then you start putting the plants before the fish. You can't do that with discus, so that's a losing game. It's just, that's the reality of the situation. And that's it, If I was running low-cost fish and my priority was plants, you see, I would put the plants over the fish, because I spent a lot more on the plants. You see how that goes? I mean, it's just a budgetary thing in my head. I don't care what people do. But I will preach against thick substrate, because if it gets too thick, you can't even clean it properly. There's not enough water in your tank to clean it properly. When you're doing a water change, you could drain the whole darn tank down to where the fish just have enough room to swim, and you still won't have it all clean. And so it's just detrimental. It doesn't make sense. And it's been a fad lately. I don't know why. You get about a year and a half out of the tank like that. 2 years tops. And any time after that, the time bomb effect will come in. There'll be too much crap in that big thick substrate for the little bit of water that's left in your tank to deal with. And boom, it goes off. So, but that's just my opinion and my advice, and even my experience on the matter. I've played with tanks a long time, and you learn to keep your shit clean when you play this game long enough. So that's all there is to it. These you'll hear me take issue with swamp tanks, and I keep calling them swamp tanks because you know why? The water conditions is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the crappy ass unkept water conditions, and what happens to a tank when you do that to a tank. A lot of people have fooled themselves into thinking it's okay. It's not okay. Start running TDS meters on that and look at the damage you're doing. And then look at where the ranges the fish you're keeping, I don't care what they are supposed to be living in, and then look at what you've done to them. And now you've got to ease your fish back to normal levels. And if you do a big massive water change in a tank like that, because you do have something go wrong where you decide, oh, you know what, I got to do it. You kill the fish because the tap water is so far off from the tank water. It's just instant death. You do water changes and they die. That's what neglect does. If you're like noticing, oh, I just did a massive water change and everything's dying in my tank, it's because the tank's neglected. It's too far away from your tap water. That's the, oh, we have 5% water changes. That doesn't really help anything. But that's what you got to do in a situation like that, or you'll kill your fish. 5 or 10% water changes, and 10 might even kill them. So you see, there's nothing. They call it lazy fish keeping and autopilot. No, it's nonsense. It's all a gimmick, and that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. So I don't know if I'm doing a good job trying to be clear here, but I don't have a problem with planted tanks, and I don't have a problem with substrate. Right? It's not how big your unit is. It's how well you use it. Same concept. Different subject. Thanks for watching. Keep it clean. You know what I mean?